30 to 35% of your gross calories in a day that you're taking into your body should be protein. Hey there, Coach Devin here. All right, protein. If you've listened to my channel and really any channel about health and fitness, you will know that protein is super important as part of your diet. It is something that we all need. And in North American culture, we tend not to eat as much protein as we should. We tend to eat a lot of carbs, a lot of fat, and not so much protein. And the reason for that is fat tastes good, carbs taste good, carbs make you feel good. Protein, it will satiate you, but outside of that, not so exciting for the most part. So that's the reason we do it, but how do we get better sources of protein? I wanted to talk about some of my favorite sources of protein in this video. Before we get going, please hit that like and subscribe down below. Please share this channel with your friends, the heart down below, and hit the subscribe. Also, if you hit the other side where the bell is, the bell will tell you when I make another video. The reason I make these videos is I like to put out the best possible information scientifically on health and fitness. I've been a trainer almost 29 years now. I've owned a gym for 12 years. My goal here is to help people get more fit and be more healthy. So that's why I do it. I'm a huge fan of helping other people get more fit. That's why I got into this industry in the first place. I always joke, this is the only thing I'm actually any good at. Okay. Great sources of protein. There are some really good sources of protein out there. Now, what you have to remember is most protein comes from animal products. So if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, this can be a little bit challenging. So just to cover you guys real quick at the beginning, there are some very good sources of protein for vegetarians and vegans. We're talking nuts, legumes, and things in that nature. And beans, you can do that type of thing. It does work. But you have to do a little bit extra work if you are a vegetarian or a vegan to make this work. And the reason is it's not, some of those proteins aren't quite as bioavailable as meat protein or a whey type protein out there, right? So it's a little tougher as a vegetarian or vegan. Doesn't mean you can't do it. You definitely can do it. It just takes a little bit more work and a little more time and a little more prep. Okay, that's the best way to put it. But vegetarians and vegans, legumes, nuts, beans, that type of thing, there are some good options out there. But mostly I'm not talking to you guys, I'm talking to people who are omnivores, and so we're going to talk about that. So, some very good choices of protein. Obviously, animal products, great sources of protein. One of the best out there, fish and chicken. So, I am not a fish guy. Have disliked fish since I was a kid. I wish I liked fish because it's good for you. It's got very good oils and fats in it. It also has a great source of protein, and it is a lean source of protein. Great choice out there. If you're talking, basically most type of fish, tuna, whatever. There's some very good types of fish out there for you. Again, it is a low-calorie option. It's a great choice. It also gives you some good fats. It's good for you in general. Fish is a very good choice. I don't tend to eat fish myself outside of tuna. I'm not a huge fish guy. I don't like it, unfortunately. Outside of that one, chicken is always going to be the number one. And always you hear people talk about, what are you having? Chicken and vegetables, right? If you're a bodybuilder or you're dieting. Chicken is really good because, again, a low-carb option, a chicken breast or a skinless chicken breast is a low-carb option, a low-calorie option, and it has a lot of protein. That's why it is ahead of things like beef and pork, because of the fact that it is a lower-calorie option for you. So chicken would be number one. Number two probably would be in the pork and beef would be in there. Again, not necessarily a bad choice of protein. It will pack a big punch, get you lots of protein. But the problem there is if you're having beef and pork, the fat content is higher, which means you have more calories, right? You're having more calories when you're eating one of those things. I'm not saying you can't eat it. I just would say that would not be the main staple you'd want to do. Like you have red meat twice a week, 3 times in a week would be enough because the calorie level is higher and the fat content is higher. It's not always the best thing in the world for you. But let's get into some stuff that are some really good choices of protein that people don't always know about. Okay, number one, cottage cheese. Low-fat cottage cheese has not a lot of calories to it and backs a big bang for protein. It is a really good choice for protein. Those of you out there who are like, oh, gross cottage cheese, You can, put it in other things if you want to do it. Some people put it in shakes because it just blends in. You don't even notice it's there. That is a good choice of protein. Also, another one would be Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is a great source of protein. It gives you lots of protein. It packs a pretty good bang for the amount you're eating. For the calorie level, you're talking 140 or 120 calories per like 17, 18 grams of protein, which is not quite as much as, say, a chicken breast, but it is close. It's a good choice. Other yogurts, a little lower on that scale, so I would always go with Greek yogurt or Icelandic yogurt because it has a higher protein content with that. Nuts, I got to tell you right now, nuts are not a protein source. Nut is a fat source. It does have protein in it, but there's a lot of fat in nuts. Not saying that fat is necessarily bad. There's a lot of good fats out there, and you need fats in your system, but you wouldn't use nuts primarily as a protein source. Something like a cottage cheese or a Greek yogurt would be better. Obviously, there's things like protein powder, which is, again, it's a great supplement to your diet. I wouldn't say you would want to eat protein powder all the time as the only source of protein you're having, but it is a good source of protein for you if you want to bump up the amount of protein you're having in there. And that's it. That's an important thing to think about. So protein powder, obviously, always a good choice. Eggs. Very good choice of protein. I'm a big fan of egg whites. I use egg whites all the time. Just buy the egg white cartons. You can scramble them. You can put them in shakes. I do that quite often. I've done that a bunch of times. They're actually pretty good. Instead of using water in a shake, you can use egg white. Egg white is pasteurized. I'm not talking like breaking open eggs, but I'm talking about actually buying a container of egg white. It's pasteurized, so you don't have to worry about getting sick or getting salmonella poisoning, but it is a very good source of protein, and again, at a very low calorie level. And that's really what we're looking for, is lower calorie options with higher protein content. That's what you're looking for. Now, when you get into protein bars, there are some good ones out there. I would say that protein bars are more of a thing you have maybe a couple times a week. You wouldn't want to live on a protein bar. It's a great thing to take with you if you're traveling. Or if you're on the run and you're like, okay, I need to have some sort of meal here. A protein bar, that type of thing is good in that case. But a lot of those times, those protein bars, they last a long time on the shelf. If you have a protein bar that's lasted a long time on the shelf, it's going to last a long time in you. But if you're going with something like a Mama T protein cookie, those things have to be refrigerated because they go bad. I'm a fan of anything that goes bad because if it goes bad, that means it's real. It's real food. It is not inert, something sort of jammed together and going to last for the next 6 months on the shelf. That isn't always my best choice, so I always try to go with things that will go bad. Mama T protein cookies, a very good choice. They're made locally here in Truro, Nova Scotia by Tracy Ferguson. I'm a huge fan, so if you get a chance, check them out. Mama T protein cookies are a great choice for you, but you do need to keep them in the fridge. Those are the big dogs, really, when you get down to it for protein. Protein, really, for the most part, is animal-type stuff, which means whey, eggs. It's got, meat. It's got to come from an animal, for the most part, to be a good source of protein. I mean, like I said, there's lots of legumes and nuts and beans, but again, a little harder to do it that way. Keep in mind where you want to be, and this is the sort of the golden rule out here. 30 to 35% of your gross calories in a day that you're taking into your body should be protein. If it's not, you need to make some changes. That is something to remember. 30 to 35% of the gross calories you're taking in the day needs to be protein. If it's not protein, then you are putting yourself in a position where you're going to backslide. Right? Bad things are going to happen when you do that, so you don't want to do that. You want to make sure you get enough protein. Now, you can get into counting macros all day and thinking about those things, but really, as long as your calories are where they should be, and you figure out where your calories need to be to either maintain or lose or gain whatever you're looking to do, and your protein is where it should be, which is 30 to 35% of the gross calories you take in the day, you'll be fine. You'll be healthy. It'll be good for you. You'll be able to build muscle. You'll be able to do the things you want to do. That's what's important here. So keep that in mind every time. That's the magic number for protein. If you have comments, questions, things you want me to talk about, write them up in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Have yourself an amazing day. Make sure you get your protein, kids. Don't fight the awesome.